What if the biggest reason most people never become wealthy isn't a lack of intelligence, talent, or even hard work? Think about it. Every day, millions of people wake up early, work long hours, and give their jobs everything they have. Yet many remain stuck in the same financial position year after year. At the same time, a small group of people seems to create extraordinary wealth without working proportionally harder than everyone else. So what's the difference? It's not that they don't work hard. It's that they've learned something most people never do. While the average person relies on effort, the wealthy rely on leverage. And once you understand how leverage works, you'll realize that some people are climbing a ladder while others have quietly built an elevator. Imagine two people starting their careers on the same day. Both are intelligent, both are ambitious, both are willing to work hard. 20 years later, one has built significant wealth, owns assets that generate income, and has the freedom to choose how they spend their time. The other is still working long hours, depending on a paycheck, and wondering why financial freedom always seems just out of reach. What happened? Most people would assume the first person worked harder, got luckier, or had better connections. Sometimes that's true, but more often, the difference comes down to a single concept that separates the wealthy from everyone else: leverage. To understand leverage, we first need to understand how most people approach work. From a young age, we're taught a simple formula: work more, earn more, want a bigger income. Work overtime, need extra money. Get a second job, want a promotion. Put in more hours. The entire system is built around one idea: exchanging time for money. At first, this seems perfectly reasonable. After all, it's how most jobs operate. The problem is that time is limited. No matter how talented or hardworking you are, there are only 24 hours in a day. You can work harder, you can work longer, but eventually you hit a ceiling. And that's where most people get stuck. The wealthy understand something different. They know that effort alone doesn't create extraordinary wealth. Leverage does. Think of leverage like a force multiplier. Instead of relying only on your own time and energy, leverage allows one unit of effort to produce many times the result. A simple example comes from history. Thousands of years ago, humans discovered that a long lever could move objects far heavier than any person could lift alone. The effort didn't disappear, it became amplified. The same principle applies to wealth. The richest people in the world rarely rely solely on their own labor. Instead, they use systems that multiply the impact of what they do. Take a business owner. An employee can only earn from the hours they personally work. A business owner can earn from the combined efforts of dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of employees. One person's decisions can influence the output of an entire organization. That's leverage. The same principle exists in technology. A software developer might spend months building a product. Once it's finished, that product can be sold millions of times without requiring millions of additional hours of work. The effort happened once. The rewards can continue for years. Again, leverage. Investing works the same way. Most people save money. The wealthy often focus on owning assets: stocks, businesses, real estate, intellectual property. Assets can continue generating value long after the initial work is completed. Money starts working on behalf of its owner, and that's a completely different game. This is why two people can work equally hard and end up with dramatically different outcomes. One is scaling effort, the other is scaling leverage. Unfortunately, many people never learn this distinction. They're so focused on increasing effort that they never stop to ask a more important question: what if working harder isn't the answer? That question can feel uncomfortable because society celebrates effort. We admire people who sacrifice sleep, work weekends, and grind endlessly towards success. There's nothing wrong with hard work. In fact, hard work is often the foundation. But a foundation isn't the entire building. Without leverage, hard work can become a treadmill. You keep running, you keep sweating, you keep moving. Yet somehow, you never get as far as you expected. And the people who understand leverage, they're not necessarily running faster. They're using an entirely different machine. The question is, if leverage is the real engine behind wealth, why do so few people understand it? And more importantly, how do the rich use it to create results that seem impossible to the average person? That's where the story gets interesting. If hard work is the fuel, leverage is the engine. And once you start looking closely, you'll notice that nearly every wealthy person in history used some form of leverage to multiply their results. The interesting part is that leverage isn't reserved for billionaires. It's available to almost everyone. The difference is that most people never learn how to use it. The first form of leverage is people. This is the oldest type of leverage in human history. A single person can only accomplish so much on their own. But when you organize and lead a group of people toward a common goal, your impact expands dramatically. Think about the founder of a successful company. They're not personally manufacturing every product, answering every customer email, writing every line of code, or delivering every service. Instead, they're coordinating the efforts of many people. One decision can influence hundreds or thousands of hours of work. That's why leadership and management are such valuable skills. They allow one person's vision to be multiplied through the efforts of others. The second form of leverage is capital. Money isn't powerful because of what it can buy. It's powerful because of what it can produce. Most people use money primarily for consumption. The wealthy often use money to acquire assets, a business, a rental property, shares in productive companies. Assets can generate more money, which can then be reinvested into more assets. Over time, this creates a cycle where wealth begins growing independently of the owner's daily effort. This is one of the reasons Albert Einstein reportedly referred to compound interest as one of the most powerful forces in the world. Small advantages, repeated consistently over long periods, can create extraordinary outcomes. The third form of leverage is technology. For most of human history, a person's reach was limited by geography and physical presence. Today, technology has changed the rules. A video can reach millions, a software product can serve customers worldwide. A single piece of content can continue generating value years after it was created. Technology allows people to scale ideas in ways that were impossible just a few decades ago. This is why many of today's wealthiest individuals built fortunes through software, platforms, and digital systems. Technology turns effort into something that can be replicated almost infinitely. But perhaps the most overlooked form of leverage is the fourth one. Knowledge. The right insight at the right time can save years of wasted effort. It can help someone avoid costly mistakes. It can reveal opportunities invisible to others. Knowledge is what allows people to recognize leverage in the first place. Without it, most people remain trapped in the belief that success is simply a matter of working harder. The wealthy tend to ask a different question. Instead of asking, "How can I work more?" they ask, "How can I make this work without my constant involvement?" That single shift in thinking changes everything, because wealth is rarely created by doing more and more forever. It's created by building systems, assets, and opportunities that continue producing value long after the initial effort is made. This doesn't mean hard work is unimportant. Every successful entrepreneur, investor, creator, or business owner has worked hard at some point, but they eventually realize that effort alone has limits. Leverage doesn't replace hard work, it multiplies it. And that's the lesson most people discover too late. The goal isn't to work less. The goal is to ensure that every hour of work creates results that extend far beyond that hour. Because in the end, the rich don't win simply because they work harder than everyone else. They win because they understand a truth that most people overlook. Effort creates income, leverage creates wealth. Now I'd like to hear your perspective. Which form of leverage do you think is the most powerful today? People, capital, technology, or knowledge? And if you could master just one of them over the next 5 years, which would it be and why? Share your thoughts in the comments. Some of the most valuable ideas come from seeing how others think about money, success, and opportunity. And if this video changed the way you think about wealth, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden principles that shape how the world really works.